Quantitative research designs are empirical, straightforward, and can test their reliability and validity. So our research design is the one that will test the reliability and validity of our research paper. So that is the purpose of our research designs. Okay. So quantitative research designs vary in terms of the following: the intent, use of manipulation, procedures used. So kung unsa tong mga procedures or ang mga kanang asynchronous procedures nga inyong gibuhat for the flow of the research, or unsa tong mga instruments nga inyong gibuhat, the designs, sampling nga inyong gibuhat or gigamit sa inyong research paper. Okay. Here we have the first type of research design. We have experimental. Okay, experimental is the main purpose of the experimental research design is to find out whether an intervention considered as independent or has an effect of on a dependent variable. So we have here the diagram that represents experimental research design. So for example, our topic or one of the variable of our research topic is randomization of participants to different groups. So the independent variable here is the new curriculum and old curriculum. Then the dependent variable is the reading comprehension level. So from studying this diagram, we will know what is or how will the dependent variable or the dependent variable affect the independent variable. So by observing the diagram, we can observe that independent variable and dependent variable affect each other. So it is under the randomization of participants to different groups. So it is an example for having your diagram under experimental research design. So you can have this as your kanang basis or kanang guide to those who are doing the research under experimental type of research. Okay, so an experimental design must contain the following elements: treatment or intervention. Then we have controlling extraneous variables. Then randomization of participants. For example, okay, we have to know the cause and effect or the cause and effect of the variables. So the relationship between the variables. Example, we have this diagram, application of fertilizer Z, then the causes and plant growth. So this can be applied with the study of the group 2, which is they are conducting study and nga experimental kanya study katong magtanong sila using different organic fertilizer, two kinds of organic fertilizer. Then they will apply it in one kind of plant, no, tapos ilahang kanang compare ang output sa duha ka fertilizer or duha ka organic fertilizer. So you can have this as your basis and guide to make your diagram. So you interconnect the application of fertilizer Z, its causes to your plant and the growth of your plant. Next, we have quasi-experimental design. A quasi-experimental design requires the independent variable to be manipulated, but it lacks a key element of an experimental design, which is randomization. For example, okay, we have the independent variable, new curriculum, old curriculum. So our dependent variable is the reading comprehension level. So from our example in experimental design, they are mostly common lang sila og characteristic ni or with experimental design. But Here sa quasi-experimental, the independent variable was manipulated but lacks a key element of an experimental design, which is randomize ang mga variables. Next, let's proceed to correlational design. Correlational design studies the association between two variables but does not tell about its causality, meaning it studies the relationship between two variables but does not give exactly what is the cause and effect. Nag-describe lang siya unsay relationship between the two variables. So that is correlational design. Next, okay, let's have this example for correlational design. The two variables are stress level and academic performance. So how the two affect each other. So no, ihatag lang niya how the two variables affect each other. Then when it is appropriate to use a correlational research design. So we use it, okay, for example, we can use it in studies itong okay, na ay nag conduct sa inyo during a research study regarding sleep deprivation and yes, so you can have this as your research design, no, since it will get to will get the effects of the two variable or how the two variable affect each other. Okay, we have the differences between positive and negative correlation. Positive, the definition as one variable increases, so is the other variable. This is also known as direct relationship. For example, higher motivation level of students is related to higher academic performance. So it is a positive type since if we have higher motivation level of students, we came up to higher academic performance. For negative, its definition is as one variable increases, the other variable decreases. This is also known as inverse relationship. So negative siya. Example, higher stress level students is related to lower academic performance of the student. Okay, next let's have the other type of research design, which is descriptive. The purpose of descriptive research design is to study a naturally occurring phenomenon or subject of interest. It simply describes a specific characteristics or behavior of a target population. So mostly sa quantitative research ng mga kinahimo sa mga students in school, ang ilang ginagamit na mga research design is descriptive. Even sa amo nga time, descriptive research design ang among ginagamit nga research design. Also sa inyuhang research paper, you can use descriptive research design if you prefer to except sa katong mga nag-experimental. Okay, let's proceed to the three most common types of descriptive research. In descriptive research, we have survey research. Okay. It explores the trends and the characteristics of a group of people. So, more on knowing what the different characteristics of a group of people. Next, we have demographic research. So, we tend to know what are the age, the income of that particular family. No. In other words, it describes basic life events of the particular group of participants. Next, we have epidemiological research. This studies different patterns of disease and health. So, medyo dili na ni-relate sa ato kay we are not doing our research based sa disease and health. Again, descriptive research designs explain different patterns of information about a target population. So I know most of you will use this type of research design, which is descriptive. Okay. Again, the three major types of quantitative research design are experimental, correlational, and descriptive. Okay. Either the three of this mentioned research design ang inyuhang gamiton sa inyong research design. Again, descriptive, it has survey, demographic, and epidemiological research. No? Then for correlational, it aims to describe the relationship between two or more variables. Then for experimental, these are manipulation of the independent variable, control of extraneous variables, and randomization of participants. Let's proceed to research sampling or procedure. Sampling procedure for quantitative research. We have different types of sampling design. I know it is just a review for you because you are already aware of some of this information since you have already done research from your previous grade level. So, review na lang ni sa inyo. Next, we have here sampling in quantitative research. Okay, we have the definition for population. It is a group of people possessing a similar characteristic. So, for example, ang inyong study is within a school, so your population are the students. Then we have the definition for sample. Pertains to the subgroup or a portion from a population. So this is the portion where you, it is like your participants or the portion of a population. The chosen participants of your from or among the population. So that is what we call sample. Okay, there are two categories of sampling procedures. We have probability and non-probability sampling. In probability sampling, there are three types. All individuals from the target population have an equal chance of being selected for the sample. So, meaning in probability sampling, all of the among the population, they have equal chance to be selected as participants. Unlike sa non-probability, which is randomly ranin yung gina pili ang usa ka participant. Pero diri sa probability na ay equal chance ang mga among the population have the equal chance to be selected as participants. Okay, first type of probability sampling, we have simple random sampling. Okay, simple random sampling is when the researcher randomly selects their participants from a list of all the individuals from the population. So you provide the list of all the population within your target scope of your research. Then to be able have the fair or equal chance na mapili sila, you will apply a method just like atong gi-discuss bitaw ni Sir Paul sa inyo ha, na mag-apply mo og i-apply to ninyo nga formula, then from that formula you will choose a participant nga naa dito sa inyong list, then randomly ga hatag siya og numbers, then from the list depende sa unsa man tong na hatag nga number sa inyuhang from the generated number, you can pick your participants based on generated number. So Okay, you can use katong gi-discuss ni sir nga kanay katong nga formula if you want to use this sampling or type of sampling, simple random sampling. Next, we have systematic random sampling. It is better, class, nga you will use this type of research because it will make our research more valid and based on true and fact information because we use probability sampling. So for systematic random sampling, the researcher randomly decides on a starting point in the list and chooses every nth case from the population. For example, in a classroom, we can apply systematic random sampling. For example, you count 1 to 5 in a classroom. Then after counting 1 to 5, you will choose a number. For example, all number 3. So all number 3 will be your participants. So that is one of example for systematic random sampling or a method you can apply. You can have to apply systematic random sampling. Pero medyo ano siya, medyo medyo hago. So mas better siguro tong formula na lang. For stratified random sampling, pertains to the division of the target population into subgroups and randomly select participants from each subgroup. For example, you have your participants you are doing your research inside the school, so your participants are the students. So you select our kanang subgroup randomly sa kana nga section ay kana nga grade level students. For example, grade level section, grade 12 or section niya is STEM B. So select participants from each subgroup. So you are going to select sections among the students na pwede nimong mahimong participants sa imuhang study. Next, we have the second category for research sampling. We have non-probability. Sample is chosen by the researcher from the target population rather than being selected. So, wala na siya nag-involve of fair selection. Kibali na sa researcher kung kinsa ang gusto pilion without applying those formulas and whatsoever. So we have types of non-probability sampling. First, we have convenience sampling. It is a sampling that the researcher recruits participants who are readily available and accessible to participate in the research study. So the researcher choose her participants conveniently, whether kung sa itong mga available and accessible. Next, we have quota sampling. So it involves selecting people from different subgroups from the target population. Next, we have purposive sampling. In purposive sampling, the researcher chooses their participants intentionally. So, because they are considered as most suitable for the research study. So, for example, your participants or your studies inside the school. So, the most suitable research participants sa imuhang study are the students. So you just pick and choose them intentionally kung kinsa ang suitable. Next, we have snowball sampling. Okay, it is done when the researcher contacts few potential participants and asks them if they can refer more participants having similar characteristics as them. So those are the 4 types of non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling is used to address practical concerns in a research study. The most common methods under this technique are convenience, quota, purposive, and snowball sampling. Mostly or most research nga kanang nagagamit og non-probability, they usually pick purposive type of sampling. We have here the definition for sample size. A sample size is the actual number of individuals who participated in the researcher study and contributed significant data. Again, the sample procedures for quantitative research, we have two categories: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Under probability sampling, we have simple random, systematic random, stratified random. Then for non-probability sampling, we have convenience, quota, purposive, and snowball sampling. So if you want that your research is valid, you should apply simple random nga katong i-discuss ni Sir Paul using the formula and the generated number na gihatag and upon picking your participants. So that is for research sampling or sample design or procedures in making or having your participants. Since we have still few minutes, like we have 13 minutes left, okay, let's have a quick discussion for research instruments for quantitative research so that you can have your idea on how you can kanang compose your research instruments.
Okay po, ma'am.
So identify the instruments that the researcher used in a quantitative study, create valid and reliable instrument for a quantitative study, assess the instrument's validity and reliability to provide a good quantitative data. So here we have an example of a research questionnaire survey. So read the situation given below, then indicate your response on the space provided before the item graph. Refer to the following responses for each item. So this is an example of a research questionnaire or survey questionnaire. So it used scale. Scale means is strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly agree. So you can have this as your basis and guidance in creating your research or survey questionnaires. So we have different types of research instruments. Okay, let's first define instrument. Instrument can be defined as a tool such as a questionnaire or a survey that measures specific items to gather quantitative data. So we have demographic forms are used to collect basic information such as age, gender, ethnicity, and annual income. So most of you are having this kind of gathering their information or data, demographic forms, no, kanang knowing their age, gender, or annual income. So if you have that kind of flow sa inyong research, so you can have this as an example of your demographic form in your survey questionnaire. So next we have performance measures. So these are used to assess or rate an individual's abilities such as achievement, intelligence, aptitude, or interest. So it measures the performance of an individual. Next, we have attitudinal measures. So it measures, attitudinal measures are instruments used to measure an individual's attitudes and opinions about a subject. Then we have behavioral observation checklists. Behavioral observation checklists are used to record individuals' behaviors and are mostly used when researchers want to measure an individual's actual behavior. So from the word behavior, you are going to measure the actual behavior of an individual or your participant. Next, we have factual information documents. Factual information documents are access to tell information about the participants' documents such as available public records. So in this kind of getting your information is that you actually get or look for the available public records. So in constructing research instruments for quantitative research, okay, we have these guidelines. How to construct our research instruments. First, state your research objectives. Okay, so in your research instrument, you have to state the objective first. You have to first state the objective of your research, ask questions about your objectives, then gather the required information and formulate questions. The general rule in constructing a research instrument is that it must ensure that the questions in the instrument are relevant to the objectives of the study. Okay, so we have here an example. Okay, for example, you have objectives as like as follows. One, explore employees' definition of health and wellness. Then identify the strategies to implement the health and wellness program in the company. Then develop an objective measure in evaluating an employee's health and wellness. So for example, you have this objective research statement. So from this, you are going to relate it with your kanang research instrument na gamiton. So how do different employees define health and wellness? Then in an employee's perspective, what activities promote health and wellness? So these are the related questions with your objectives. So from these questions, you will gather what are the information required from based sa kaninga mga questions. So from information required, you are required to have expected activities in promoting health and wellness. Then you are required to know what are the perception of health and wellness of your participants. Then the information required, one of the required information also is that the expected activities in promoting health and wellness. So, sa kini nga mga required information, you should make sure na makita or ma-answer ni nga mga required or makuha ni nga mga required information upon making your questionnaires or survey questionnaires. So we have here sa pinaka kilid ang mga appropriate questions nga inyong gamiton para makuha ang mga necessary and required information nga inyong gamiton sa inyong research objectives para matubag ang atong research problem. For example, we have this question or example of survey question. Okay, what is your age? Are you a male or a female? From what department are you? You have to provide, since we are using quantitative research, you have to provide kanang fact, kanang domains for your participants to select kung asa sila na belong na department. Or if students, you have to provide what section they are belong to. Next, what comes to mind when you hear the words health and wellness? Then pick the following activities or programs that you think can promote health and wellness. So you provide factors that you think could provide or promote health and wellness. Naghatag siya diri og yoga exercise, diet program. Then you can also put others for your participant to specify which factor that could promote health and wellness. So you can have this as your guide and basis in doing or creating your research questionnaire or research instrument. Next, we have here the quality of an instrument. So in a quality of instrument, reliability and validity is always and should be present. Okay, we have here the definition of reliability. So reliability is the stability and consistency of an instrument under different circumstances or points in time. So it tells that how your research is reliable or unsa katuuhan imuhang research. Next, for validity. So it is the capacity to measure what it is supposed to measure. So that is validity. We have here different types of reliability. We have internal consistency. Okay, under internal consistency, it has split half reliability, odd even reliability, Cronbach's coefficient alpha. Okay, the Cronbach's coefficient alpha may be obtained using computer softwares like statistical and analysis softwares or spreadsheets. So, in this type of reliability, dili man siya commonly gina-use. So, more on stability over time ang commonly nga gina-use sa mga student researcher. So, it is test, retest, reliability. So, that is stability over time, test, retest, reliability. Next, we have alternate forms, also called as parallel forms. So, those are the different types of reliability. Internal consistency, stability over time, alternate forms. So, I recommend you to use stability over time type of reliability. So, we have here types of validity. Okay, for types of validity, first we have phase validity. It is extent to which an instrument appears to measure what it is supposed to measure. Next, we have content validity. So, it is the ability of the test items to include important characteristics of the concept intended to be measured. So, the concept or the content of this type of validity is the important characteristics of the concept that your research is intended to measure. We have also criterion validity, tells whether a certain research instrument can give the same results as other similar instruments. For criterion validity, it is a concurrent and predictive validity. Then construct validity, it is convergent and discriminant validity. So a valid test is always reliable, but a reliable test is not always valid. Okay, so again, the reliability is defined as the stability and consistency of an instrument over a period of time, while validity pertains to the extent where an instrument accurately measures what it is supposed to measure. So the general types of quantitative instruments or research instruments for quantitative studies are demographic forms, performance measures, attitudinal measures, behavioral observation checklists, and factual information documents. Then we have the quality of a research instrument can be determined by its reliability and validity. So for the types of reliability, we have internal consistency, test, retest, and alternate forms. Then for validity, the three types are phase, content, criterion, and construct. So that compose our discussion for research instruments. Okay, this slide class, I will be sending it to you, coming from chapter 1 and chapter 2, as well as the copy of the study guides. Basin ganahan mo mag-scan or magbasa sa inyong study guides aning practical research para makakuha mo idea on how you can construct your research instrument, research design, research local, and data gathering procedure. So again, I will be uploading this anang slides or PPT slides as well as the study guides in a Google Drive link. I will send it sa ato ang GC. Okay, class, it is already time, so let's end our meeting here. May I request everyone to please open your cams for our attendance. Okay, requesting everyone. Okay, Castel, okay ra na. So let's have our attendance. Open your cams. Okay, very good kaayo ang nag-background of class meeting. Yay, na ko documentation ani. Sige. Okay, everybody, please open your cams. Let's have our screenshot. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you everyone for attending our meeting this morning. I hope you have learned gamay. Sige, that's all. Everyone, goodbye and thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.